Cameras are recording, so you can say whatever you want now.
Okay.
Talking terminology, and then discussion of the... Okay. We have a name for this horse walking?
Make one up.
Checkers.
Yeah.
You like checkers?
I like checkers.
Because checkers, that was the color of the horse.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whatever, Trav. Here we go.
The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright, and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's show, Proper Balance Movement Chapter 9, the Beau story. Also, talking terminology, rehabilitation using controlled exercise, and also Mike has a case study of a horse named Checkers. All this and much, much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, and over my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Get a little crisp out there. A little.
Just a bit.
I see you've got your flannel on. Your
first flannel for the year.
You've got your good flannel on.
A good flannel. I'm going to wear this one flannel all year.
And don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video as well, and you can see all the visuals that we have here in the studio. Mike's got a whole bunch of pictures he's going to show us. We also have a video of a horse named Checkers, and we're going to watch him walk around, and Mike's going to give his evaluation on what he actually saw on that. So make sure you jump on over to YouTube. Like and subscribe to Mike Stine over there as well. That's Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. Also on Facebook, you can follow Mike Stine. Same thing, Equine Dynamics Mike Stine, and your page is filling up more and more and more. And I saw the post that you had the other day. Again, I see a lot of people commenting on it where you have that diagram of the horse's foot and all the veins and all the nerve endings and stuff. And it's amazing. All those are wrapped up in that little, horse's foot, and it does so much.
Busy little area down there.
Yes. So you've been busy. What have you been up to in the last week or so?
Well, last week or so, got the old farm truck put back together.
Okay. And what are you going to do with the farm truck now?
Haul the load of stuff to the landfill, start hauling stuff off that have been accumulated over many years, cut bushes, been out working on a bunch of horses, fielding some calls from people, and normal business.
Are you finding that things are slowing down because of the wintertime, or is this where the season starts picking up for like events or something like that? What is your season like right now?
I've already got horses coming down that are adding into my schedule from the winter for the winter, and that end's getting ready to get busy, while other parts of what I'm doing will slow down some, yes.
Now, when you say they're coming down for the winter, I mean, we here in North Carolina, we broadcast just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town called Marshville. And you say you're coming down here for winter. When I think of coming down for winter, I'm from Florida, so I think of North Carolinians coming down to Florida for winter.
Right.
I don't think of anyone coming from, like, Wisconsin to North Carolina.
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
For winter. What is the reason behind that? Is it, I guess, we don't get as much snow as they do up there, or our weather isn't as bad?
Weather isn't as bad. They're coming down for winter training. You remember Becky when we had her on here, Becky Holder, right?
Yes.
She takes on a lot of horses for winter training. Some of these horses will go on to other places, come back, and some of them will load in. We'll have some that will come through for some tune-ups and go on down south to Florida, and some of them will stay, and some of them will train through the winter, and in the spring, they will get very busy with going to events.
Now, by
the time the Land Rover hits, if the ones that haven't left will float off back north.
Now, when you say they come down for winter, are they coming down because they cannot physically train them in the environment that they're at in Wisconsin and Minnesota because of the weather? And we have, like I said, we barely get any snow here in North Carolina.
We can train through the winter here a lot easier than they can up where home base is.
So what would stop them from just going to South Carolina? What would stop them from going to like Texas or Tennessee? Why would they come to North Carolina?
Some of them do go to other places, yes.
Okay. So we're just one of many.
Well, yeah. I mean, these people are coming to this particular spot because they want somebody to have their hands on the horses and work with their horses that has competed at Olympic level.
Now,
and has been to the Olympics and all that sort.
Well, and that's with Becky.
Yeah.
Now, with the location of the events coming up, are we kind of centralized?
We're pretty centralized between a lot of 3-day eventing between Georgia and Maryland. There's a lot that goes on.
And I guess taking them straight to a state that had the eventing would be too much of a challenge. I'm the simpleton of the show, guys. Believe me.
You are simpleton.
I'm asking these questions. I'm like going, if you're training for a race, why wouldn't you train in the state where the race is being held?
Well, they do.
And some of them, they go to Becky's place just because
Becky.
Because of Becky, I
Right.
see. So it's name recognition and
skills, talent, and proven track record.
Yeah.
Name recognition, you name it.
So I would go there too.
Yeah.
Are there, I guess, and you might not know this. This is probably a dumb question. Are there a lot of former trainers, like Olympic trainers, that are doing what Becky's doing now, or they've gone on to do something else? If you know any, not that if you know anyone, but I mean, do you know of stories of like, yeah, she was an Olympic trainer. Now she just breeds horses or whatever.
There are plenty of people that have. Well, the numbers are getting smaller when you get to that level of riding, but there are people that have long training careers and teaching careers after making it to that level of competition. And if you're proven and can get the job done and have a good solid record of it, people will come to you year round. And part of the reason with her farm is during the summer, she runs a series of clinics in different places, so that during clinic season, the farm numbers are down to personal horses and a few others. And during the winter, when the clinics die down, horses are in for training, and there are people in and out of there from all over the place for riding lessons.
And I know she said this before, and if you wanted to listen to the whole conversation of Becky, that's Becky Holder, and I think it was on season 5, I believe.
5 or 6, something like that.
If you want to listen to her whole conversation, we had her here on the air. I forget, how many horses can she hold on that property at peak maximum?
Peak max will be around 35.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I thought she said she has about 30. Anything more than that?
So we'll go from about 8 horses to about 35 through the peak in the winter.
Now, and you go out there, and do you take care of her barn as far as like doing the horses that are out there?
Yeah.
I mean, when I say take care of the barn, not like you're putting up wood panels or anything like that.
Well, I mean, if I had to put up wood panels, I would. But yeah, I will be handling pretty much what's there. I'm not going to say I'm the only one that has ever handled horses that are there, but I will definitely do the bulk of them, if not all of them.
One of several guys that'll be out there shoeing the horses and doing the whole thing for the horses. All right, guys, stick around. We got a lot to get into, and if you have a question for Mike Stine, get those in now. Go to equinedynamics.com at the top of the page. I got to slow down a little bit. Equinedynamics.com at the top of the page says contact us. Fill that out with your question or any comments or anything that you got going on. You can also put pictures in there as well and send those over to Mike, and we'll look at them here on the show. And make sure you put a return address, and we'll send you out a little prize pack. So stick around. We got lots to talk about. We're going to talk about a horse named Beau and with a mysterious lameness from the book of what's it called?
Proper Balance Movement of Diary Lameness
By
Tony Gonzalez.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Oh, look at this. $1 million. See you later, Mike. I'm going to, where'd she go? Wisconsin? Wyoming?
Yeah.
That's why she went to Wyoming. I sent her the check, the $1 million check. You might not see her again. I'm kidding. She'll come back.
Wouldn't falter.
Oh, yeah. She needs a break. We all need a break sometimes. Ready? Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Like I said, if you have a question for Mike Stine, go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page, just fill that out. And if you'd like Equine Dynamics, the podcast, to come perform a live broadcast at your location, we can do that as well. Over where it says clinics, fill that out there. Mike and myself can come out there and perform a live broadcast at your location, your business, your establishment. If you just want to perform a clinic out there, Mike Stine can do that as well at your location or event that you have coming up.
Like next Saturday, and then the little thing at Dover coming up, and another thing.
Well, hold on. Let me get into that, Mike. Stop jumping the gun. You're shooting myself in the foot.
I'm trying.
And over to my oh, Jesus. Hold on. And making all that noise over there is Mike Stine. How are you?
Doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing good. Now, you've got a couple of things coming up here in the next couple of weeks or so. What do you got going on?
We're going to be doing a slide presentation over at In Town. Richard Malgram's coming in. They're having a dinner, and I'm going to be dinner entertainment.
Oh, dinner and a show. All right.
Dinner and a show, yes. And then also we'll be speaking here on, I think, the 2nd at Dover Saddlery.
And where's Dover Saddlery, and where's the In Town stables at?
In Town's off Rocky River Road near Highway 200. Mm-hmm. The Dover Saddlery is where the Dover Saddlery is. It's up in the edge of Charlotte, sort of Matthews, Charlotte.
Now, is this open to the public or invitation only?
Dover is open to the public. As far as the in-town deal is primarily people from the clinic. Now, if somebody wants to contact Brett, talk to him about it, they could.
And that's Brett Ingram. And how do we get a hold of him?
Smoke signals. Look up Brett Ingram. You can do it on Facebook or whatever.
And if you can't get that information, email Mike.
Or holler at me.
Yeah, just holler at Mike, and he'll get you that information. And when is that? The end of this month, the 28th, I believe?
It's like next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday. So get your invitations in.
It is like next Saturday.
Hold on, I got to look at my thing here. So, it's this coming Saturday. So if you'd like to go out there and watch Mike Stine perform a clinic about biomechanics, and also, what was the other gentleman's name? Richard, I think the last name is Malgram. That sounds right.
Something along those lines.
So you get in contact with Mike, and he'll give you all the information on that. Now, information we're going to talk about right now, a horse named Beau. Now, this is from a book called The Diary of Lameness, The Proper Balance Movement, A Gift for Your Horse. Now, this was written by Tony Gonzalez, and last season we were diving into some of the chapters of this book. Now, this is a chapter called A Horse Named Beau. Now, I'm going to read from this a little bit, so bear with me. I got to put my reading glasses on, turn the lights up. You can see me read here in the studio.
I didn't know they made glasses that thick.
They are that thick. Look how thick they are. Hold on, I got to switch cameras here so everyone can see me. There we go. So we can see how thick my glasses are. Jesus. All right. So
You want me to hold the book over here?
No, that's fine. So the chapter starts out. Now, this is written in third person where Tony is talking to himself in first person. So first person.
So I talk to myself all the time.
Okay. So the book starts out, or the chapter starts out as this. On one occasion, I was called by an owner on a very expensive yearling quarter horse stud colt that had been. Am I bored? You all right? Okay.
No, I'm not all right, but go ahead anyway.
All right. On one occasion, I was called by the owner of a very expensive yearling quarter horse stud colt that had been bought as a weanling. The horse had gone lame, and no one could identify the cause of the problem. This colt had been kept on a mountain pasture, so it possibly existed that he could have fallen. The colt was already been checked out by the best local vet, who very rarely misses anything. Tommy indicated that Doc suggested that I should look at this colt. Beau was a small, chunky guy in obvious pain. He walked out of a stall, dragging his left front leg. Examination of the hoof with a hoof tester showed no signs of abscess or even a hint of what he called quitter, Q-U-I-T-T-O-R, or as by definition, a very deep bruise inside the sole. To examine the tendons, I pulled Beau's leg forward as well to see if there could be a shoulder problem. There was no visible soreness. Beau did not react. However, as Tommy walked Beau away from me, the horse repeatedly threw his left front leg out from his body. Again, there was no outward sign of a splint or swelling. So tell us what Tony found out after examining Beau and what actually caused this mysterious lameness.
Well, with this horse, one thing that kind of came up as they were looking at the horse, and ran hoof testers and all that. Everybody's looking at the foot. He's not responsive to a foot problem, right?
Right.
But then, if you look at it, they use the terrain so you could watch the horse from a higher level, and notice that the way his shoulders were moving, the way his shoulders were developed, were pretty significantly uneven, and he was pretty collapsed on the side where he had the foot problem. And I think in the end, what was decided was maybe he had a nerve pinch in the shoulder, and sometimes they won't lift and follow through. And horses that drive into collars, which wasn't this horse, because this horse had never been ridden. Sometimes they can pinch a nerve in the shoulder, and it will alter the movement pattern because of the way the muscles are firing in the shoulder sling. But in his shoeing at that time, to kind of re-engage the shoulder, he used lifts, which I rarely, if ever, use at this point because we've learned a lot since then, and that's not really necessary. And then worked off of the lifts to get the foot down to the, back down to the ground and get away from anything on the foot. But you use that to develop the muscle in the shoulder and get the shoulder working again. Now, walking in hand because you want to keep it controlled at this point was probably pretty much what they were doing as far as rehab. In the work I did with, like, especially Ray Morris and Sir Clyde Caldwell and those guys, working the shoulder, manipulating the shoulder a little bit, doing some massage on the shoulder, kind of working in behind the scapula with your hands. That's something we could do a little video on. And doing that sort of deal really changed the difference in what the horse does with the shoulder, because that whole thing about the shoulder angle collapsing, everybody else said, well, my horse has a short leg because he's low in the shoulder. Most of those, if you really start looking at the angulation of the joints, as joint collapse. I'm not going to say there's not any, but there are plenty of horses that one shoulder is not opened up as much as the other, and by the time you get to the top of the horse, if there is a top of the scapula higher on one side than the other. Also, the lower leg that will straighten out is because of what's happening mechanically with your tendons and ligaments going up the back of the leg.
Now, this horse, Beau, Tony said he could have fallen.
He could have fallen, yes.
So this would have, did they determine that, we've eliminated all other possibilities. This is probably exactly what we had in theory.
They're out in the field with other horses. Typically, horses that are in the mountains are probably more even because they work the movement of the scapula around the barrel. The whole shoulder, the whole shoulder sling is floating and moving. I think that horses on flat ground have a little more problem with that. And it's something that we need to look at in our training, especially when we're rehabbing horses. Sometimes I've used ditch lines to walk a horse down one side of the ditch line to get them to engage the shoulder and pick up on it.
Oh, I'm thinking it's like an actual rope called a ditch line, but it's an actual, you're walking them in a ditch.
Basically,
because of the angle of the...
Put your weak shoulder on the high side. And, you can intentionally ride a horse like that, and you're pushing the shoulder up and around the barrel. And you're getting things moving that have not, and you got to stretch tendons and ligaments back out and get everything engaged. As far as the nerve pinch, maybe you need a chiropractor, maybe you need, whichever way you go with these deals. And also a horse that is collapsed on one side. The better we've learned to get with what we do with the back end of the horse, because if they're that uneven in the front end, there's something that odd going on in the back end. And the better we can stabilize that situation, that on its own will encourage the shoulder to start opening up and squaring up and getting the posture of the body better.
Every time we talk about this and you talk about lower back and shoulders, and I find myself slouched.
You're slumpy.
I'm slouched over in my seat. I'm like going, oh, okay, I got to do that because I don't want that problem.
Just think about it like this, Travis. The horse is slouching over in the seat on one side.
Oh, really? So it'd be like...
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So then we need to get the horse where the horse is standing. There you go.
How do I look?
Exactly.
Do I look even?
So much better. You look even.
Do I have a slouching shoulder sling going on here?
Right. And develop the muscles around that and get them back to work. It gets overlooked in our training.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, horses do injure themselves out in the field. Horses that have never been ridden, we don't look for the problems as much, but some of these very same problems do show up. So you can't, it's not always the riding, because this horse was not ridden. This was a youngster, and horses come out of the womb twisted, just like we're twisted.
Yes.
Well, we're twisted a different way, but that's okay. Right. Well,
some of us.
Yeah. Well, I am. Yeah. So anyway,
Here's the question I had.
Right.
Tommy, in this chapter here, Tommy bought this horse Beau and said it was a very, very expensive, yearling, quarter horse, colt, Ford, whatever the type of horse it is. Why would he spend that much money on it if he saw this mysterious lameness with it? Is he thinking, I know you weren't there. I mean, Tony.
This was some time back, and
why would you take a chance by spending that much money on this horse? It's because of the title and what kind of horse it was. And was this horse broken?
As far as I know from everything, this horse came out of this okay.
Okay.
And did fine. I don't know if he wanted this to be a roping horse or a breeding horse, or just because he wanted the horse to be okay. And everybody's got their own reasons for it.
Now, this book was written back in what year? Early 80s?
Yeah.
Early 80s. So a lot of things have changed as far as
a lot of things have changed.
Now,
a lot of things. We've got a huge amount of different avenues we can do as far as diagnostics were not available then. There was a question brought up on one of the deals about using nerve blocks. Well, there's periods in my career where nerve blocks really were not that available, and some of the horses that I talk about go back to that time period, and we could do what we did at that time. And we work, still, like when I go out to a barn and I watch a horse, and you stop, look, listen, and see what they smell like. And you're wondering why I say that, right?
Why do you say smell?
Because some horses have an odd smell to them.
Like
they hadn't taken a shower. No, I've had horses that if the horses smell good and healthy, some don't. And, okay, is that an indicator to something going on metabolically in a horse? If you have metabolic problems, it can affect tendons and ligaments, among laminitis and other things. But bringing these horses back and starting to focus on, yes, we've got a problem with the shoulder. What else is tied into it? Is the shoulder damaged because of horse did something to itself? What has the horse been doing to self-compensating? If he's not working correct on this corner, where does it affect him in other places? And if you started going back to the other end of the horse and start getting that under control and the movement pattern better on the back end, which to me is the first thing to do, is address the back end when we got movement problems, because that's where the movement comes from. Then as you get that under control and get them moving forward and pushing more squarely off the back end, they'll start straightening themselves out on the front end. So just as your wife's dressage horse, we've been doing a lot more concentrating on the back end than the front, because we want him to have a good, healthy, strong motor and everything where it needs to be, and he needs to go get all his medals and all that sort of stuff.
Diego and my wife really do appreciate it. So,
and actually, his big goal is to, make it to the feed bin.
Yeah, that's his only goal. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to be talking terminology, rehabilitation using controlled exercise. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
No.
Because I'm like,
just fire it. Just fire and we'll roll.
Okay.
Kind of keeps me trying to think, maybe. Yeah. Trying to keep up with you.
It's kind of hard sometimes, I know.
It is. All
right, you ready?
You're a tough act to follow.
Well, at least I'm not very fast. I'm easy to catch.
That's right.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video. And now, if you're not watching the video, now's a good chance to go over to YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe to us over there, and you can see all the different videos from the past shows, all the different visuals that we have here in the studio. We have past shows that Mike goes over x-rays. We have special guests that we have here in the studio. You can see all of our conversations over there. Just subscribe over there to Mike Stine, Equine Dynamics, Mike Stine over on YouTube. We'd appreciate that as well. And if you make any comments in the bottom, I will respond, or Mike himself will respond. So
somebody will respond.
Yeah. So if you have a question, if you want to get it over on a part of the video that we're talking about, make sure you get those over there as well. And over to my far hand side, responding to me is Mike Stine. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Talk now. I'm doing good.
Okay. You forgot how to do the show already?
Well, you're supposed to have this. You're on. You're off.
Oh, my little buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to... This week, we're going to talk terminology. Now, talking terminology, the way this came about is if you hear certain phrases that the vet uses, your farrier uses, or any of your local horsey friends, you might not know what it means or what it actually stands for, and you just kind of nod your head and say, yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Clefter rapid fire ditch walk next time I take the horse out. And if you don't know what that is, well, we kind of bring you into what those terms actually mean. Like I didn't know what ditch walk meant or ditch line or whatever I just said before.
I just don't know what it means either,
Right.
but it was there and came out.
So this week we're going to talk about rehabilitation using controlled exercise. Now, the definition that I have here, well, first of all, Mike, tell me what we're going to be talking about here. Rehabilitation of using a controlled exercise.
Well, that's it. We're rehabilitation using controlled exercise. When you're rehabbing a horse, you do not want to injure them while recovering, from whatever the injury was, and also you need to re-strengthen tendons and ligaments, and they take longer to strengthen than the muscles because when you put the rider on them, they're going to have to pick up full weight of the rider. And too many times horses end up injured again because the rehab between's not done because it's not fun.
So last week or the week before, we were talking about you were messing with Diego's rear end. We were talking about the motor, the back end. And my wife said, hey, Mike, we need you to do something with the back end. And you asked, how far do you want to go? And my wife was worried about the rehabilitation of,
right.
If you do too much, he's going to be sore. Meanwhile, she's, in the process of learning this and getting her medals and stuff.
Right.
So because you did it in a smaller increment amount, she was able to ride the horse very well. But like you said, if a horse comes in lame and stuff, you'll go full blown on it to help it.
At times we do, at times we don't. It's going to vary from case to case.
Now, the definition that I have here of a controlled exercise program is gradually increasing resistance and exercise routine that begins with the least stressful exercise. For a horse, usually this means hand walking. Exercise should only increase when the horse has regained enough strength at normal range of motion at the lowest level.
Yes. And there's a lot of little exercises that can be done. Okay. I'm going to pick on one because of a situation that I dealt with a while back. Horse that was in stall rest because of a suspensory injury. And the horse always had a weak back. And it was always a problem. Well, during the stall rest time, the back, guess what? It got weaker, right?
It wasn't doing anything. It was just like laying in bed.
There was a little bit of walking because it wasn't fun. We don't like doing that. And then we threw the saddle on the horse's back. Horse been standing up for however many months, not doing much. Then got into a small paddock. Not much was done. And one of the big problems that probably led to the suspensory problem was a weak-backed horse. Even at a stand, go in there and do your belly raises, push your position, push your posture, push this. You could do belly raises standing in a stall without walking. When you do walk, eventually you can start training into backing. In-hand controlled. Now, because while I'm backing my horse, heads up, back's hollow. Just during that standing time, teaching a horse to drop its head, round its back, drop its head, round its back, drop its head, round its back, drop head, round back. They'll start putting it together. Drop head, round back, step back, drop head, round back, step back. Don't throw it too much at one time. Drop your head, lift your back, step back. And you want to get your horse where if you rock them back, they'll round their back up.
Now, when you do
and you can teach them to do that in hand in one spot.
Now, when you do these exercises,
low impact,
but I guess where I'm going with this is when I go to the gym, when I get back into the gym, I know that I have to run on the treadmill for 25 minutes. I know I can lift weights for another 30, 35 minutes. When you say the drop the head, roll back, step back, are you doing that for a length of time of 30 minutes or 25 minutes, or is it just 3 minutes, 2 minutes on?
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of those deals. It's like not any different than when I was down at Ray's one time. They had this little filly that was about half wild. She was in a round pen, and she wouldn't let anybody near her. And I was haltering her, roll the ropes up all over and all this kind of stuff by the time it was over with. And I walked in that round pen for a couple minutes, 5, 6, 7 times a day when it's around the farm, go out to the shop, go back to the house, go to the barn, go back to the house. Every time I did that, I went by the round pen, walked in the round pen just a couple of minutes and walked out. And by the time it was done, in about a week, I could do all kinds of stuff with her. But we weren't pushing her into overload. So, I mean, if you could walk in to a stall, do something real quick, walk out, go pick another stall as you're back down the barn, go in, go through what you're drop, ease it. The horse will actually pick it up quicker that way than spending 30 minutes with it, because part of what you're doing is getting the horse to learn what you're asking it to do. Because sometimes you walk up, you just start, we're doing this, it makes no sense. The horse goes, ah! So you got to gradually work into it and get it to make sense to the horse. Because the only thing that we're really good for with horses, well, giant Pez dispensers, right?
Correct.
So what do we want the horse to do? And if you make it too much pressure, horse isn't going to want to do it. So if you can do it just very gradually, very little bit of time, it's like, okay, you go do whatever kind of workout you do for 5 minutes.
Bench press and curls.
500. Start off with 500 pounds, right?
Nope. About 100.
Yeah.
Start with 100.
100. Okay. And then go from there. But we're just doing like at first you're doing a small portion of 1 rep and you walk away from it. A little later, you do a small portion of 1 rep and you walk away from it.
If I did that in the gym, everyone in the gym would go, what is wrong with that guy?
Well, yes, they would, but we're not worried about you. We're worried about getting this horse to think that what we're asking it to do is a good idea. And you can get them to where you can walk in there and just do click, 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 and they'll just kind of do it for you. But trying to sit in there drilling over and over and over makes them not really want to do it.
Gotcha. Well, that makes total sense, because if I sit there and drill, I don't want to do the workout either.
Well, there you go. See, no different. And, we need to put not necessarily that much time, and actually as far as like raising a back or stepping back, when you start backing a horse, if you actually start moving them backwards, 1 step every day for a week. This came from a trainer I used to work with that was masterful at putting good, strong backs at a horse. If the horse wants to curve off to the left, intentionally curve him to the right. Next week, 2 steps, which sounds a little ridiculous, but you can overload them this way. Next week, 3 steps. Next week, 5 steps. 4 steps, 5 steps. Add 1 step a week, and get to a point. And then once you get past 5 or 6 weeks, then you can start adding more and going further with it. And but by then you've built strength. And if you do that to the point of making them too sore, they'll get away from it. So you want to gradually add to it, because the first inclination, if I do that and I make you sore and I push you to do it, is don't do it. And then if you push it till you make them sore every time, they're like, I don't want to raise my back up because it hurts. So it's very gradual. Don't make them sore, and make it an enjoyable thing for them to do. Don't make it painful.
All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about a horse named Checkers. And like I said, if you're not on YouTube right now, you can go over to YouTube and you can see this video that we're going to show about a horse named Checkers, where he's going to be walking down the aisle and walking back. And we want your opinion of what's wrong with the horse. And then Mike's going to give his evaluation on this horse as well. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. I promise.
Really?
I promise he will.
I'm shrinking.
Oh, you're on top of me. I was like, oh, they're both on the same thing. There you go. And this is the horse we're going to look at and make sure that we're in frame and we can see it. Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Let's go back to 7. You can make some more noise over there if you want, Mike. I got a cowbell and a hammer if you want it.
Okay. You need more cowbell.
Ding, ding, ding.
More cowbell.
Right. Are you ready?
I always need more cowbell.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you have a question for Mike Stine, the way you get those in is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Make sure you put your content or your comments in there, your questions. Mike will answer them. We'll read them here on the air, and put a return address, and we'll send you out a price back for being part of the show. And make sure you follow him over on Facebook as well. Mike's got a brand new page over there. It's called Equine Dynamics Mike Stine on Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe to him over there as well. He posts a whole bunch of articles all the time about all these different things having to deal with horses, furthering education on horses, and that's what his main priority is, to create sounder horses from the ground up. And over my far right hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Doing good. Now, I'm going to switch to camera 6, so if you're not on YouTube, now's a great chance to get over there on YouTube, and we're going to look at this video here. Now, this is a video of a horse named Checkers. So, tell us how you came across Checkers and why are we looking at this horse?
Why are we looking at this horse?
Well, first of all...
Because I told you to take the video.
Right. So, first of all, we're looking down a long barn here, and you're having the horse walk away and come back, and then walk away and come back again. So, let me play the video. I'm going to turn this up so everyone can hear it. And you're in the video commentating. So, this is not you here in the studio commentating yet. Not yet. So, here we go. We're going to play this video. So, here he goes.
To bring her back. I want to walk away one more time.
Well, one of the reasons I brought this one up is paying attention to not even the legs, the dock of the tail.
Okay, so let me go back to the beginning and the dock of the tail. So
it's swatting the flies there, but right there at the top of the tail, when he settles down a little bit, pay attention to which way he wants to take the dock of the tail.
Let's see if I can make this smaller so everyone can see it here. So what are we looking at there?
Okay, with that I use when I'm watching a horse going away, trying to figure out what they're doing with their pelvis, is watching the dock of their tail, right where it comes out of the body, and that first little bit of the tail. Because if they're cocking their pelvis to one side or the other, they'll actually, that tail will rotate to the side that is moving forward.
Now, I was watching the horse, and it looked like the back end was off to the right a little bit. Like if we're looking at, and so it wasn't. Is that what they call not tracking straight?
Right. Left leg was coming further under the body. Right leg was going a little further outside the center line. The left leg was reaching up under the center line.
Correct.
And
yes, I got it.
And
I got it correct.
And if you look at that, there again, the uneven shoulder thing. If you look at a horse like that, the way the muscle in his shoulder, if they've been doing it that while, is not going to match because the movement pattern doesn't match, and the way they move the weight forward into the body, into the shoulder doesn't match. And if we just address the front end of the shoulder and we haven't really addressed the back end of the horse, then what have we done? We push the horse back with a lift. They can't get away from the pressure. If we can make a few tweaks in the back end and get him to use his back end more evenly, you can get a lot of the shoulders to square up better without going and adding lifts and all that sort of deal. And my goal now is to pretty much stay away from. I pretty much never use a lift anymore. I do forge out the mechanics on the shoe a little different from side to side sometimes because of what's appropriate for that particular limb. But you also got to pay attention to what's going on in a diagonal and to work that relationship. So, and just that little quick little trick is the dock of tail staying nice and even? Is it tucked up tight? Is it flowing? Like when it was Miss Nora with the racehorse, she'd tell you which one was getting ready to lose the race just by what they were doing with their tail. And she'd tell that one's getting ready to shut down. A few strides out and start shutting down. She was right every time.
Really?
Yeah. Miss Nora Keene. She is gone now. She lived to be 95 years old, and she's a horse racing Hall of Famer in the state of Arizona. And I worked for her at one time. But when you watch a race, that one's getting ready to lose the race, and then start backing off. And she was watching what the tail was doing. So that is a quick key to give you some guidance on where to start looking. And I pay attention up top before I pay attention to what the legs are doing. Because if I just look at the legs and I forget about what's going on up top, I've missed most of the picture. But just that dock of the tail, it will, if the pelvis is cocking forward on one side, it will tweak the dock of the tail to that side.
It's like looking at the tires of a car and trying to figure out why the engine isn't running right. It doesn't make any sense.
And when you work on the front end of a horse, you've got to see what the engine's doing.
Right. So you fix the engine to fix the tires.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that is one quick little clue I use, because people say, well, how do you look at a horse that's boom, 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 turn around, walk off? There's a lot of cute little tricks like that give me guidance to where to go to the next point. And when I first watch a horse walk off, that's about the first thing I'll look at. Or, actually the first thing I look at before they walk off is I notice how they're muscled. And that tells me an awful lot of the story. And you're just confirming it when they step off.
All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, one more little segment. We'll let you get back to enjoying your ponies. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget to follow him on Facebook. That's Equine Dynamics Mike Stine over on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to him over there as well. If you have a question for Mike Stine, you can reach out and contact him over on equinedynamics.com. Fill out that little form. If you'd like Mike Stine and myself to perform a live broadcast at your location, we can do that as well. Just let us know. We'll pencil you in. Or if you'd like Mike Stine to perform a clinic out at your location or event or place of business, he will do that as well at that same location. Also, did I do YouTube yet? Yeah, no. YouTube. And make sure you like and subscribe to Mike Stine over on YouTube. And you can see that video in its full format over on YouTube as well. And over to my far end side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Doing good. Now, what did we learn today? The Proper Balance Movement, Chapter 9. Beau's story.
Yeah, sometimes horses do things to themselves out in the field. We'll never find that answer. And we're talking about a horse that apparently had a little nerve damage and was dragging his front foot. They were able to recover from it. The ways that they did at that point were primarily focused on the one leg. Now, Tony was working more into a whole body approach as time went. But a lot of these horses are from earlier in his career and before he got like Clyde with the chiropractics and everything else involved in it.
We need to get GoPro cameras and strap them to all the horses out there that are in the pasture, so if something happens, we can see exactly what happened. You know, police have body cam footage. Yeah. Well, horses need body cam footage as well.
They need body cam footage. They need GPSs. They need listening devices on them.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, talking terminology, rehabilitation, using controlled exercise, and what is defined as a controlled exercise?
A controlled exercise is when you are controlling the speed and energy the horse is putting out. Sometimes just putting them in the round pit and they'll take off and go. That's not a controlled exercise. In-hand work, then there's so many avenues you can do with it. Stretching, body positioning.
Stall work.
You can work out a horse in a stall and get them to work them into better posture so that then mechanically they can move better.
And the walking away from the camera and coming back, the patterns of a horse named Checkers, and what you were looking for in the tail, the rump end.
Yeah, my focus was paying attention to what's going on in the dock of the tail. Is it rotating one side, rotating the other more? Is it staying in the center? Because if it's connected into the tendons, the ligaments are connected, if the pelvis is pulling around and that last little bit of the spine is fused together, it will cock that tail around in that direction if the pelvis cocks.
So what is that tail supposed to do when you're looking at it?
Hang center and relaxed. And also the tension in the tail. You can see a lot of tension right there. And that's what Nora was picking up on when they were racing, which one was getting ready to lose. All of a sudden, the way the tail flowed got tense.
All right, guys, on that note, we're going to let you get back to enjoying your ponies.
Yes.
And make sure, like I said, follow Mike Stine over on Facebook and also subscribe to him over on YouTube as well. And any questions, get to equinedynamics.com. On behalf of Mike Stine over there.
Thank you. Have a good day. Enjoy the ponies and enjoy Travis.
Yeah. My name is Travis Zane. See you next week.
Just close your eyes and dream, little pal. Dream of someone.
Hi, Lucky.
Good night, Ned.
Hi, Dusty.
Good night, Ned.
Good night, Ned.